Hello, this is Rochelle Agatha, and this is the lecture for the pivot assignment, which is assignment 5. So when you open the PDF inside of Blackboard, you're going to see a similar looking structure as this. It's an employee listing for a company, and the numbers may be different, but basically for this term it will look similar to this. So you're going to see a listing of employees, their employee ID, their name, their department, their gender, and their salary. And you're going to type all of this information in as you see it with the same color scheme and everything using the font that I list in the PDF. You're going to put your typical heading at the top with the course, your name, etc., and then this starts in A5. Note that I merged this across the top, and I tell you to do that. By now you know how to merge and center, so I'm not going to take time up doing that. You're going to be told that the bonus, the tax, the benefit, and the total comp is a formula. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that because by now you know how to do formulas. The point of this is pivots. So what I'm going to do is show you the basic pivot. So when you want to pivot, you're going to highlight all the data that you would want to include in your pivot. And depending on which version that you're using of Excel, the version that I'm in, the 2010, you're going to hit the insert and then you're going to hit the pivot table and you're going to pick a pivot table. Notice if you highlight the data first, it shows up in the pivot table or range. Then you're going to say you want a new worksheet because in this assignment I want every single pivot in a new worksheet, and then you're going to say OK. Now from here you're going to see this drag and drop. If your pivot doesn't look like this, go up into your options, click options, and go to display and make sure that it says classic pivot table layout right here and say OK. Then you'll see the drag and drop fields. That's pretty much the biggest question students have when they do this assignment is why doesn't their screen look like mine? So once again, options, display, classic pivot table layout. Okay, so let's just play around with this. Let's say that I want to show the employee name and I want that to be in the row label. So I'm going to click it there. That's where all of the employee names show up. Then let's say I want the gender across the top. There I have the gender. So I've picked my pivot with all their names and their gender. And then I want their total compensation to be in the body of the pivot. So I drag and drop. Now please note this is ugly. It doesn't have commas. It's not formatted. If you submit this to me, I'm going to dock you points. I want you to go back up and format it just like you would any other presentation for me. And all I did was format it like I do anything in Excel. And I click off. I can click on and I can modify and I can click off and I'm done. So pivots are very cool. I just want you to place the pivot for every pivot I assign you inside a new sheet and name it for what I tell you to do. So once again, let's go back and let's do another pivot. Let's say this time I want to, I'm going to just do it another time so you can watch. I want to insert a pivot table. I highlighted before I started the range I'm going to pivot off of, and I say I want a new worksheet, and I say OK. I go up and I say I want my options in my display to be classic pivot table. If you go into your defaults in Excel and fix that, you only have to do it once. This time I want the department to be a filter. Okay, so now I've got a filter at the top. And this time I want the employee ID to be the row label, and I want the salary to be the column label. Now look at all this different information. And then I want the gender to be in the middle. So this doesn't really make as much sense because I have so many different salaries. You might do something like this if you had bands of salaries. But I just wanted to show you again how you actually do it. So now you can say, I just want the finance department. And there it narrows it up, and you can see that, let's go, well, I don't really know people's employee numbers very much, so I want their name. So I'm just going to drag the name down there instead. So now I see I have 3 people who are men or women, and this is their salary. So notice this says the count of gender. You can click on this and you can actually change the value of the field settings, and you can say the sum and or the count or the average or the minimum or the product. So that's how you would change how the value shows up within. So if we say the sum, now and you can just mess around with, let's say gender doesn't really make that much sense. Let's say I change my mind and I want the salary to be in the value and I want the gender to be across the top. Notice I'm just dragging and dropping. It's actually very easy. Now you can see I have female and male, and this is their salary based on the people listed here. And I have to format it. I'm going to show you that again. I want it formatted so it's pretty. And that it's as simple as that. So when you go through the assignment, I list all of what you need to do down below. And it's pretty self-explanatory. Notice I tell you the font to use, I give you the formulas that you need to use, and I tell you exactly what pivots I want. Make sure you name it properly, and it's set to print to one page, whatever pivot you do, like always. So if I do a quick print preview, it's all going to fit on one page because that's how I grade you. And if you have any questions, send me an email. Thank you.